If you're into designer furniture and you want the sofa that broke the internet, you don't have to go broke to get it. Because Designer Looks Furniture has all the same styles and trends and all the quality, but without the designer prices. Check them out. Designer Looks at American Signature Furniture or designerlooks.com.
Be honest, are you completely obsessed with your shoes? Have you been known to talk about your shoes to friends, family, and people in line at the grocery store? If not, then you probably don't have Rothy's. Because when you have shoes that are comfortable, washable, and come in tons of styles and colorways, obsession is basically mandatory. Just ask the millions of women who wear Rothy's every single day. You may have heard of the Point and the Flat from Rothy's, but they also make insanely comfortable sneakers, loafers, ankle boots, and more. Plus, every single Rothy's product is made with sustainable materials, like plastic water bottles and marine plastic. So not only are they comfortable, washable, wear everywhere shoes that look great on your feet, they're great for the planet too. Step up your shoes and accessories this spring and get ready to be asked, are those Rothy's? And for a limited time, you can get $20 off your first purchase when you go to rothys.com/comfort. That's $20 off at rothys.com/comfort.
You are listening to the IFH Podcast Network. For more amazing filmmaking and screenwriting podcasts, just go to ifhpodcastnetwork.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by Rise of the Film Entrepreneur, How to Turn Your Independent Film into a Money-Making Business by Alex Ferrari. For a free copy of the audiobook, head over to www.filmbizbook.com.
The Director Series is made possible by the support of our subscribers on Special. Subscribe today at special.tv/The Director Series and gain access to exclusive full-length Director Series episodes and other bonus content, ad-free. Welcome to the Director Series podcast, a show dedicated to deconstructing the work of some of cinema's most celebrated and influential film directors. I'm your host, Cameron Bile. The brothers kept a low profile for the next couple of years, quietly writing the screenplay for Steven Spielberg's Cold War drama Bridge of Spies, while also developing a long gestating idea about a troupe of actors in the 1920s putting on a play about ancient Rome called Hail Caesar. First pitched to George Clooney in 1999 on the set of Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Hail Caesar was officially announced in industry trade journals in 2004, but active development didn't officially start until 2013, when Clooney aggressively pushed them to make it as their next project. Nearly 2 decades in the making, Hail Caesar finally arrived in 2016, trading in its theatrical origins for a loving yet bitingly satirical portrait of the Hollywood studio system during its golden age.
All right, let's try this. Say your line exactly as I'm about to, just as I'm about to do.
Sure, okay.
Would that it were so simple.
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 My dear boy, why do you say that? Why do you say twere?
Well, you should say it like I said it. Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple. Would that it were so simple. Would that it were. Would that it were so simple.
Would that it were so simple.
Would that it. Would that it were so simple.
Why are you doing this?
Would that it were so simple. Would that. Just keep still.
The film, set in and around the bustling studio lots of 1950s-era Los Angeles, affords the Coens ample opportunity to romp through the various popular genres of the time: pulpy westerns, lavish costume dramas, patriotic musicals, and biblical epics, to name just a few. It's a time of great transition in the movie business. The precisely tuned machinery of the studio system and the very concept of celebrity is beginning to break down and reveal its engineered artificiality. The Supreme Court has recently ruled that the studios must divest themselves from owning theater chains, and television is looming on the horizon like a foreboding storm cloud. In response, Hollywood doubles down on money-making escapist fare.
It is 5 a.m. Still shank of night for some, but for Eddie Mannix, beginning of a new work day. The movie studio for which he works manufactures stories, each its own daylit drama or moonlit dream.
As Michael Gambon's omniscient narrator sets the stage, the Coens show us the trouble lurking in the wings, namely, a gang of communist intellectuals who have managed to kidnap Hollywood superstar Baird Whitlock from the set of his new biblical epic, Hail Caesar, and are plotting to turn him into an agent for their cause. Their successful heist is only one of the many headaches that Capitol Pictures executive Eddie Mannix, played by Josh Brolin in his third Coen Brothers performance, has to deal with throughout Hail Caesar.
First of all, there's nothing to that story. I've heard it, it's been around forever, and it's never been confirmed. And secondly, you can't print that. Even if you could print it, you couldn't print it. And you wouldn't want to, Thor. It's beneath you.
The facts are never beneath me.
People don't want the facts, they want to believe.
Mannix is all business and stubborn persistence, and a fictionalized version of the real-life MGM producer of the same name. An elite blessed with a working-class attitude, Mannix acts as something of a fixer for the studio, shuttling around the various productions and ensuring his unruly stars fall in with the studio line, all while trying to decide whether he wants to move on to a cushy new job at Lockheed Martin. This being a Coen picture, however, Hail Caesar isn't necessarily concerned with Mannix's emotional trajectory. Like so many Coen protagonists before him, Mannix is rather the steady rock that grounds a surrounding ensemble of oddballs, misfits, and all-around idiots. The title of King Idiot goes, naturally, to Clooney in his fourth character within the brothers' so-called Idiot trilogy, which just goes to show that idiots never know when to stop.
The studio makes pictures to serve the system. That is its function.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just confirming what they call the status quo.
As the dense and impressionable movie star Baird Whitlock, Clooney leans into his natural old-fashioned charm to project an appropriate Hollywood Golden Age essence.
I mean, the whole setup only works if I play along, right? If I don't let on that I know who kidnapped me.
Yes, that's right.
What if I name names?
Alden Ehrenreich plays Hobie Doyle, a heroic hayseed whose folksy swagger and plucky persistence lends him just as well to uncovering Baird's whereabouts as it does to performing in swashbuckling Western pictures.
There's $100,000 in that attaché case. Ransom money. Baird Whitlock has been kidnapped.
This is bad. Bad for movie stars everywhere.
Ralph Fiennes mixes the essence of Laurence Olivier with his M. Gustav character from Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel in his performance as Lawrence Lorentz, a stuffy and pretentious film director who delivers obtuse stage directions with a put-upon aristocratic accent.
Before your first line, you respond to her line with a mirthless chuckle.
A mirthless chuckle.
Yes, I think given your unspoken suspicions about Allegra, a mirthless chuckle.
Scarlett Johansson, who hasn't been seen in a Coen picture since she was a young girl in The Man Who Wasn't There, shows she's emerged into full-fledged womanhood in her role as Deanna Moran, a feisty silver screen diva with an abrasive transatlantic accent and a history of poor impulse control.
Any more thoughts about who you might marry?
I ain't doing that again. I had 2 marriages. It just cost the studio a lot of money to bust them up.
Well, we had to have those annulled. One was to a minor mob figure.
Vince was not minor.
And Buddy Flynn was a band leader with a long history of narcotic use.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They were both louses. Marrying a third louse ain't gonna do me no good.
Tilda Swinton pulls double duty in her second performance for the Coens after Burn After Reading, playing identical sisters Thora and Thessaly
You must
Thacker.
let me talk to
What
him.
kind of name is Thora, anyway?
It's a name that 19 million readers trust. Don't play games with him, Eddie.
The Thacker sisters are flip sides of the same increasingly competitive coin. One fancies herself a serious journalist, while the other is a bubbly vulture for celebrity gossip.
Fixin' to be friendly. That can be my column headline.
The aforementioned gang of communist intellectuals consists of familiar faces like A Serious Man's Fred Melamed and Inside Llewyn Davis's Alex Karpovsky, as well as Coen newbies like Dave Krumholtz and Wayne Knight.
'Cause no matter what we see when we're out there on the sea, we ain't gonna see a dame.
As Bert Gurney, a star of fleet-footed patriotic musicals and the secret leader of the communists, Channing Tatum turns in an expectedly charismatic performance. The script provides ample opportunity for Tatum to exercise his natural flair for dance and old-fashioned showmanship. Indeed, his tap dancing ability seems so natural that it's hard to believe he had to learn it specifically for the film. Jonah Hill and Jack Huston turn in brief yet memorable cameos as a bookish fall guy kept on studio retainer and the star of Lorentz's Merrily We Dance melodrama, respectively.
Is it hard squeezing it like that?
It's part of the job, miss.
Finally, longtime Coen repertory player and Joel's wife, Frances McDormand, tops off Hail Caesar's eclectic ensemble with a small role as a dowdy, chain-smoking editor under Mannix's employ. After his brief absence from the Coen fold for Inside Llewyn Davis, cinematographer Roger Deakins returns to his rightful place at their side. During press interviews for that film, the brothers signaled their suspicion that it might be their last shot on actual celluloid, but Hail Caesar delays that transition for another day, owing to their belief that film was the format to best evoke their intended period vibe. Once again shooting on 35mm film in their usual 185:1 aspect ratio, the Coens and Deakins infuse Hail Caesar with warm, golden tones that project a certain nostalgia for Hollywood's golden age, as well as bright, saturated colors reminiscent of the early days of Technicolor. Unlike the somber observationalism of Inside Llewyn Davis, Hail Caesar provides an exaggerated theatricality apropos of its subject matter, sweeping over returning production designer Jess Gonchor's sets with classical dolly and crane-based camera movements. The Coens show a particular stylistic zeal in their treatment of the various movies within the movie, effortlessly weaving in and out of the quote-unquote edited movie sequences and actual narrative while changing their lighting setups, pacing, and even their aspect ratios to reflect the current genre they find themselves in. These sequences are where the brothers' heartfelt love of old Hollywood and the visual grammar of mid-century American cinema are most realized, balancing their biting satire of film as a commercial product with an ode to the art film's natural magic and effervescence, a miraculous medium that's closer to the realm of dreamscape than business. Assembled together under the guise of their editing pseudonym Roderick Jaynes, these moments are held together with a musical cohesion that harkens back to the big band orchestral scores of yesteryear, thanks to the sprawling range of its faithful composer, Carter Burwell. The various technical and thematic Coen hallmarks contained within Hail Caesar makes for an effortless addition to their existing canon.
Who are you?
Todd.
You get a hot breakfast or a box breakfast?
I don't know.
Are you a principal or an extra?
I think I'm a principal.
Yeah.
Their trademark gallows humor alternates wildly between witty character interactions and moments of exaggerated slapstick, yet never leans too heavily to one side or loses control of its fragile tone.
A truth that we could see if we had but... Cut! Faith! Oh, damn!
Their love for the history and traditions of American music can be seen through the story's inherent musicality, especially in the freewheeling No Dames number.
We might see some octopuses. No days.
Or a half a dozen clams.
No days.
We might even see a mermaid.
But mermaids got no gams. No gams.
Their longtime subversion of genre expectations, especially within the boundaries of the caper, also continues here, with the Coens orchestrating a complicated and convoluted plot that ultimately amounts to little more than a hill of beans. The visual image of a briefcase full of money slipping away from its owner is a common one in the Coens' filmography, popping up in Fargo, The Big Lebowski, and even No Country for Old Men. Now, it reappears in Hail Caesar, taking the form of a gift from the communist intellectuals meant for their hopeful Soviet overlords that ultimately succumbs to the sea thanks to a bungled handoff. While Hail Caesar finds the brothers once again working in their anti-genre wheelhouse, it also finds them embracing the visual conceits of genre more fully than ever. Indeed, they figuratively rampage through mid-century cinema's marquee genres, scratching every stylistic itch they might have ever had along the way. Further connecting itself to the disparate strands of the Coens' filmography is the notion that Hail Caesar's Capitol Pictures is in fact the very same studio featured in Barton Fink, albeit much more bustling and vibrant than the stagnating pre-war environment we had previously seen. There must have been a regime change following Jack Lipnick's deployment to the front, or a switching of gears away from high-minded prestige cinema in favor of candy-coated escapist entertainment. The territory of aggressive studio brass, pretentious directors, and dim-witted movie stars proves a fertile landscape for the brothers to color in new shades to their career-long portrait of the wealthy and the elite as absurd and out of touch. In the Coen universe, this conceit can also apply to academics and intellectuals, evidenced in Hail Caesar with a group of communist conspirators. Also like Barton Fink's eponymous protagonist, these intellectuals frequently wax poetic about the plight of the common man, but never actually make much of an effort to connect with them, let alone actually do something.
Dr. Marcuse came down from Stanford, joined the study group, and started teaching us about direct action.
Praxis. Action.
The Coens bestow them with none of the dignity or grace that marks their working-class characters. Instead, they're inept and ineffectual, devoting themselves entirely to thought where characters like Mannix are devoted to action.
How long since your last confession, my son?
Oh, it's been, 27 hours.
It's really too often, my son.
Hail Caesar also contains a notable degree of the religious humor that gave A Serious Man its comic bite, seen here through the prism of Mannix's Christianity.
But as for the religious aspect, does the depiction of Christ Jesus cut the mustard?
Well, the nature of Christ is not quite as simple as your photoplay would have it.
How so, Father?
It's not the case simply that Christ is God or God Christ.
You could say that again. The Nazarene was not God.
He was not God.
He was a man.
Sequences like the one in which Mannix consults with leading officials of the various major faiths over the cinematic portrayal of God and Jesus illustrate how religion fundamentally shapes the irreverent character of the Coens' films without being overtly religious or preachy.
These men are screwballs. God has children? What, and a dog? A collie, maybe? God doesn't have children. He's a bachelor and very angry.
No, he used to be angry.
What, he got over it?
You worship the God of another age.
Who has no love.
Not true. He likes Jews.
God loves everyone.
God is love. God is who is.
This is special? Who isn't who is?
But how should God be rendered in a motion picture?
God isn't in the motion picture.
The release of Hail Caesar provided some small degree of relief for the Coens after the disappointing box office reception of Inside Llewyn Davis, scoring $30 million in domestic receipts against a budget of $22 million. The warm praise lavished upon the film, however, was not matched by most audiences, save for the most diehard of Coen fanatics. The film's lukewarm reception, combined with its distant February release date, does not bode well for its chances as a contender in the 2016 awards season, an arena in which the Coens are a perennial presence. If the aftermarket life of their other underappreciated work is any indication, however, Hail Caesar is bound to grow in stature over time. It may be a satire that purports to prize the supremacy of commerce over art, yet it never loses sight of that particular essence of the artistic spirit that drives the industry.
I mean, we may tell ourselves that we're creating something of artistic value, or there's some sort of spiritual dimension to the picture business, but what it really is this fat cat, Nick Skank, out in New York, running this factory, serving up these lollipops to what they used to call the bread and circuses for
You're gonna go out there and you're gonna finish Hail Caesar. You're gonna give that speech to the feet of the penitent thief and you're gonna believe every word you say. You're gonna do it because you're an actor and that's what you do. Just like the director does what he does and the writer and the script girl and the guy who claps the slave. You're gonna do it because the picture has worth and you have worth if you serve the picture and you're never gonna forget that again.
The film pays service to the idea of Hollywood as a dream factory, with the Coen showing us the complicated and oftentimes absurd machinery behind the veil of the silver screen. Yet, they are dreams nonetheless, and Hail Caesar shows that, even after all these years, the Coens themselves are still gripped and enthralled to the awesome magic of cinema. Since their idiosyncratic and wholly original 1984 debut, the Coens have carved out a formidable space for themselves within the cinematic landscape. They act as a unified entity with a singular voice, asserting themselves as one of the most important filmmaking forces working today. In dedicating their body of work to the defiance of genre expectation, they've inadvertently created their own, the Coen Brothers film, a reference point for a particular fusion of black humor, winking drama, and impeccable technique that many have imitated but have never duplicated. But just as highly identifiable as their aesthetic may be, their ulterior thesis remains elusive. One could expend reams of paper in an attempt to analyze their way to the core of the Coens' artistic identity, and yet never come close to penetrating it, finding themselves in a maze of artfully constructed contradictions, detours, and dead ends. If there's one single declarative sentence that can be made about Joel and Ethan Coen, it's this: if they can keep up the prolific output that's marked the last 20-plus years, then the world of cinema will be blessed with priceless, maddening riches for a long time to come. Thank you for listening to the Director Series. For a deeper dive into your favorite filmmakers, go to www.directorseries.net. The Director Series is made possible in large part by our generous supporters on Patreon. Please visit us at patreon.com/directorseries to see how your contribution enables the continued production of video essays and text articles on your favorite contemporary and classic film directors. Thank you.
Planning on traveling this summer? Make saving at the pump part of your plans with 2 times the fuel points from Harris Teeter. It's easy. Download your eVic coupon, and for every $1 you spend with your Vic card, you'll get 2 fuel points. That's up to $1 per gallon on quality fuel at participating BP and Harris Teeter fuel centers. Download your eVic coupon today and save money at the pump all summer long with eVic and Harris Teeter fuel points.
With bills to pay and debt piling up, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Personal loans through NetCredit can provide funding up to $10,000 to help you get back on track financially if eligible. Our secure application process allows you to customize the terms that work for you and your budget. So check your eligibility today without affecting your credit score and help get your finances back on track. NetCredit, a more personal loan. All NetCredit loans and lines of credit are offered by a member of the NetCredit family of companies or one of our lending partners. Visit netcredit.com/partners for more information.
With fast funding up to $10,000 available through NetCredit, our online application process was designed to get the money you need quickly if approved. You can borrow an amount that meets your needs and repay in a way that works for your financial situation. And we report on-time payments to credit bureaus, so you can build credit history as you repay. See what NetCredit can do for you today. Check your eligibility without affecting your credit score at netcredit.com. All NetCredit loans and lines of credit are offered by a member of the NetCredit family of companies or one of our lending partners. Visit netcredit.com/partners for more information.
With bills to pay and debt piling up, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. Personal loans through NetCredit can provide funding up to $10,000 to help you get back on track financially if eligible. Our secure application process allows you to customize the terms that work for you and your budget. So check your eligibility today without affecting your credit score and help get your finances back on track. NetCredit, a more personal loan. All NetCredit loans and lines of credit are offered by a member of the NetCredit family of companies or one of our lending partners. Visit netcredit.com/partners for more information. If you have bills and debt piling up, a personal loan through NetCredit can provide funding up to $10,000 to help you get back on track if eligible. Visit netcredit.com today. All NetCredit loans and lines of credit are offered by a member of the NetCredit family of companies or one of our lending partners. Visit netcredit.com/partners for more information.